Good morning, everybody. It says that I'm live and kicking here. It's 9:25 in Fredericksburg, Texas, and got the sun out today, which is it's always a plus. I've never been a person whose mindset has been defined by the weather. A long time ago, I thought to myself, "Do I really want to define who I am and what I do by what it's like outside?" And the answer to that is no, I don't. So I do my best to accept the weather however it shows up and find something intrinsically interesting or beautiful uh, inside of it. When I moved to Texas, that was really a different trip because I was used to having, um, moderate weather in California. But I always liked hot weather. I was always the kid that really, when we got a hot weather spell in California, I was so psyched. I was like, man, this is great. Got warm nights, hot days. I love it. Love it. And then we get about 3 or 4 days and it'd go away. And I would feel sad. I was like, where did that hot weather go? So when I first moved to Texas, I had my first July and August. And I was like, oh man, I love these really warm July nights. They're great. They remind me of the South. I'm in the South. And then August would roll around and it was like, okay, I think I've had enough of these hot nights. No, seriously. I mean, the weather here is in August is pretty intense. 2 summers ago, we had actually last summer we had, I think it was 35 days of 100-degree weather. Very intense, very intense. But it was, again, you just figure it out. You just kind of roll with the thing, right? How is everybody? We're going to do kind of a short, sharp, shock show today because I'm going to be working on the new platform, which I'm hoping to launch tonight. Fingers crossed. We'll do maybe a beta run, not a beta run. That was yesterday, and that was in El Paso, where Beto O'Rourke decided that he was going to have a rally at the same time that Trump was going to have a rally. The 6'5" leprechaun was very clear over the fact that having walls made his town more unsafe, right? We have the wall, it will be more unsafe than it currently is. As somebody who's kind of an information junkie and a news junkie, I scan local talk radio to get a sense as to what's really going on here in the state of Texas. And even though El Paso is on the other side of the state, there are lots of connections between people in this state from one city to another. Yeah, I know, it's amazing, right? So I was listening to a local talk show on in San Antonio, the very powerful KTSA, which is a big 100,000 watt flamethrower station. I used to listen to it when I was in California, long time ago at night. That's where I used to pick up Art Bell because the local stations didn't have Art Bell. So I'd listen all the way from San Antonio. Anyway, they had some local callers on there. Some of them were from El Paso and had very personal stories about how in the middle of the night, all you hear is gunshots and sirens, and it's a heavy duty place, man. El Paso is a heavy duty place, and people generally move out of El Paso so they can go, to some other part in Texas. It's not it's not Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. So I think this whole idea of the wall making it more unsafe is slightly insane, which seems to be the story of the day for most of these candidates. I can't see you guys today. I don't know where the chat went. So let me go into my other mode here so I can find you. Mike Adams, speaking of Texans, is in hot water with Apple. And I'll tell you why in a second. I just got to make sure I can connect him with the chat room here. Give me one moment. There we go. One second. Let me see what we got here. Yeah, okay, we're on mute. And I just want to find out where the chat situation is. There we go. Okay, see, I can see you now. There's T Girl, Isla, Suze, Richard. There's Ani, Lori, Darcy. There we go. See, good. Excellent. Morning, Beth, Shari. Shari is the queen of meme. She sends out the best memes, man. Shari, you should have your own website. Memes are us or something like that. There's Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. What's going on? Nice to see you. Okay, good. Now I can kind of geolocate back into the chat room when I need to. So here's the deal with Mike Adams and Natural News. Apple has decided that they are not very happy about Mike's stance around abortion and Satanism. Okay. I think we're separating the wheat from the chaff. I think that's what it's called now. That is what it's called. So here we go. Bombshell, Apple demands Natural News stop writing about abortions or Satanism. Threatens to block Natural News app from all Apple devices. How about that? And ye shall know them by their works, right? Here we go. In a series of shocking demand emails containing screen captures showing lists of Natural News articles, Apple has demanded Natural News stop publishing articles critical of abortions or Satanism, threatening to block the Natural News app from all Apple devices if Apple's demands are not met. Oh, that's wild, right? I mean, just think about that. Think about that. Again, I'm not a practicing Christian, or go to church every Sunday, but I bet that if Natural News was slamming Christianity right and left, and slamming people who were not in favor of near birth or birth abortions, I bet Apple would be just fine with it. I mean, if you watched Tim Cook's speech, what was that speech for? I think it was I think it was one of the rollouts that he did with Apple. Tim Cook is such a cuck. He's a total cuck. I mean, everything he touched on his speech was just I had to really stop my gag reflex. It was really, he was like a cliche. He was a cliche. I mean, he was quoting Elie Wiesel, right? The guy who made a huge amount of post Holocaust money. It turns out he wasn't even there. Like, there was somebody who was actually there. He said, no, that guy wasn't there. I don't remember him, right? And then conveniently, not long after that, he passed away. Yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, you're quoting somebody who more than likely wasn't at that event. But that's okay. Go ahead and quote him, because we all know that it's not really truth or real information or quote unquote facts that matter. It's the fudging of reality to support a point that has more emotional impact, perhaps. Facts be damned or truth be damned. Anyway, let's get back to the story at hand here. This is the first time a dominant tech company has overtly come out in defense of Satanism. While threatening to censor a prominent publisher that exposes the evils of satanic influence. Many people will see this as yet more proof that Apple, along with other tech giants, is literally aligned with Satan and is exploiting its power of censorship to silence those who criticize Satanism. Now, you may think that that's a bit extreme or perhaps a bit Anita Bryant-ish, but we're living in a time now where it's very clear that the revelation of the method is coming to the surface, and these satanic / Luciferic influences, which are everywhere in our society now. You can just see them. They're all over the place. They have been for a long time. But now there's a greater proliferation of the symbolism as code, as technology, right? It's symbolic technology. And that's happening. And as a result, there are more people that are either consciously or unconsciously participating in this rollout, right? So, there's a lot of truth here to what to what Mr. Adams is saying. With Democrats now openly pushing infanticide and the legalization of the serial killing of infants, tech giants like Apple are serving as the censorship speech police to silence all criticism of the gruesome practice. In threatening natural news over our coverage of infanticide and abortions, Apple is staking out the position of being pro-infanticide, and anyone who dares to speak up for innocent children is deemed by Apple to be engaged in hate speech. According to Apple, opposing the murder of children is now hate speech. This whole hate speech thing is very pernicious. You know, it's like this layer. It's like this film. It's like this, you know, kind of, you know, gauzy, fuzzy film over our right to freely express ourselves. I remember when the hate speech laws were passed, I'm like, oh shit, we're in trouble. And it took a while. It took a couple of years. It's like, let's keep this on the back burner, but we're going to start to play this hate speech or these hate crimes or these hate laws. Like, you can't just have a crime now. You can't just have an assault and battery. If there is quote unquote malicious intent behind it that is ideologically based, it now goes into another category and you get charged and sentenced at another level, right? Okay. Let me keep going with this. Hate speech means standing up for the innocent and demanding an end to the murder of children. Here's one of the many screenshots sent to Natural News by Apple, along with a warning that these stories would result in our app being blocked. Okay, so there are. Okay, so here's what Mike was publishing. You can now buy blood harvested from young people in America. Young blood for sale in San Francisco. Covington Catholic student caught in bogus racist incident with Native American provocateur begs local media to print the truth. Left-wing media run by actual demon-possessed with anti-human evil entities. Watch this stunning mini documentary. Scott Adams apologizes to high school students after accidentally believing CNN's fake news. The lesson is never believe in the media by default. Anyway, these are the things that that Apple brought up to his awareness here, his attention. Apple claims that these articles are objectionable content that people might find offensive. Some of the headlines named by Apple as objectionable include these important reports on Satanism, vampirism, blood harvesting from children, vaccines, cannabis, freedom of speech, the failed war on drugs, anti-Semitism, and much more. Okay, so they've got a bunch of stuff here that's linked to that. There are more screenshots too sent to Natural News by Apple, indicating Apple is trolling all Natural News content and trying to find examples of stories to be offended about. Some of the other content that Apple says is offensive includes articles about abortion, infanticide, censorship, the LGBT agenda, and illegal migration. Fight back against Apple censorship. We must all fight back against Apple censorship. There are several ways you can help us. We need your help to take action now and let Apple know that we will not be silent in the face of techno-fascism and censorship. First, fill out the Apple feedback form for the iPhone and tell them they don't want Apple censoring Natural News app. Now, in many cases, I would say, okay, well, this is like Mike Adams beef, but I actually think that I'm gonna send some information out to Apple, because here's what happens. There are small groups, and I mean small. It could be maybe 4 or 5 people, but they are ideologically dedicated and involved in focusing on various news outlets or various people that have podcasts or blogs or have YouTube channels. And if their content is offensive by what they deem to be offensive, they basically run these programs where they maybe they're running more than just one program. You know, it's the program of, okay, we're going to have a front here. We're going to get maybe 300 or 400 people all at the same time, and we're going to basically lead an assault against this author or this webcast or this podcast or this website. And if we do it with enough energy and with enough vociferous intensity, then they'll take us seriously, and then they'll think that we are a portion of a majority which feels as though this content is going to be objectionable, hateful, fill in the blank. And this is what happened with InfoWars with Roku, by the way. And they might actually be writing programs as well. They might be writing scripts to create users and have, say, about 4 or 5 or 6 maybe different variations on an email that would appear to be individually written, and they could throw that at, say, an Apple or a YouTube or Twitter. So given that this is happening on the internet, this is what people are doing, it might be worthwhile to take 5 minutes out of your time to support this guy. I'm not completely into what Mike Adams is always talking about or saying, but he's got a right. He's got a right. Does Apple have a right to kick him off their phone? I think at some point, Apple's going to run the risk, and I think they already have in my estimation, but they're going to jump the shark. And if they continue to participate in a level of censorship, it's going to get people's attention. Here's the problem. The problem is that we don't have a lot of competing tools that are in our toolkit that we can make different choices with. I mean, try to find a different cell phone that gives you some kind of autonomy. If you're either into Apple, we know what Apple has become. You're into Android, which is essentially a Google platform, right? I mean, that's just what Android is. So now you're into this. So pick your poison. Is it Apple? Is it Google? Then you've got the Chinese competitors, and then you've got the Chinese. Okay, so that's the whole other kettle of fish. BlackBerry for a while was kind of independent. I think now they're running. I think they're running Androids now on BlackBerry. The guy that owns BlackBerries or started BlackBerry, he's another putz. So it's really hard to find a cell phone with an operating system that is not going to be either Android or Apple. So for some people, maybe not having a cell phone is probably the way to go. But there are other things you could do. I mean, if you have to plug into an iPhone, which many people do, and you have let's say a computer, you don't have to buy a brand new Apple computer. I use Apples, but I use Apples that are older. Like my latest Apple's a 2011. So I think that there's ways in which you can continue to use the product, but not necessarily support the new development. At some point, all that old stuff is probably going to have to go away because there'll be certain standards. It will all be 5G standards. And certainly the cell phones will have to accommodate 5G. So that means you'll probably want to get a new cell phone if you want to play the 5G game. Anyway, I thought I'd just get into this a little bit today to show you what's out there, to show you that we are in an ongoing effort to anchor and hold the space for things like free speech. And the value system is changing. The value system is changing. This is what I talked about yesterday. And thank you for the support for yesterday's flame, because when I got on the air yesterday, I had a general idea of what I was going to talk about. But when I do, sometimes it takes on a life of its own. And this is one of the things that I love about what I do, because it allows me to be at times spontaneous and kind of open up different channels and connect with this information in a kind of a unique, in the moment sort of way, which is why I don't do a lot of pre-planned videos. If I do, they're usually interviews. I may do a few more of those in the future just to play around with them a bit. But that's why I really enjoy the live stream, because it's like it's live, it's here, it's now. Anyway, thank you for the sort of the good words, the kind words. And what's interesting too is that the feedback I got was that people are having a similar experience. Okay, we're having a similar experience, and I really think that things are speeding up, and not just the time piece, because time. I mean, where did 2018 go? I mean, I blinked and 2018 was over. But I think there's also a process, an evolutionary process that we're going through, and that our development is being sped up. And if we can participate with that process, and there's a way to participate with it, we could cover a lot of ground very, very quickly, because we don't understand, right? Like I'm here, I'm standing here in Texas, and you're wherever you are, right? But our consciousness is linked. Our consciousness is woven together in quantum entanglement. And it's not just you and me who are participating in this moment, but there are other people that are also engaged in our quantum entanglement. And we're involved in a very novel process that is taking place, even without our own kind of understanding of how it's taking place. It's kind of like the radionics model in a lot of ways. So we are definitely in a different part of our evolutionary cycle. I mean, I can feel it. So there's an uptick. There's an acceleration that's taking place, and what we want to do is we want to feed that acceleration process, and that means, again, the dictum is, have a good diet, eat good food, eat clean, have good influences in your life, whatever they are, whether they're your personal relationships, your familial relationships, the type of work that you do, how you interact with your environment. We bring these influences into our lives, and we want the highest and the best around those influences. And sometimes that means letting go of toxic relationships. Sometimes that means letting go of toxic work. And that takes a lot of guts and moxie, and maybe a little bit of pre-planning, so that you can move into something that is more meaningful. At the end of the day, how we are able to access the deepest parts of our nature and bring them to the surface is really vital. It's vital. Like, the world depends on it. I mean, you may think that your life, well, who am I? What am I doing? I'm just a person living in so-and-so. That's not really the case. You're being able to create a life of value and character and depth and meaning in your own way is really important. I can't overstate that enough, because this gets into this whole concept of feeling disempowered, right? And being demoralized. Because if we can have these things on a daily basis that feed us and make us stronger and help us grow, what it does is it pushes back the demoralization process, which is vital. And that's the one thing that we really, really have to be aware of. And I think the downfall, or the Achilles heel of it all, is kind of the existential nothingness. And look, there is a time when it's important to encounter the void. Okay, we all encounter the void at some point. But to live with the existential nothingness is in some ways a kissing cousin of the death cult that they want to enlist all of us in. I was looking at photos yesterday of it wasn't like I was searching them out. I was watching Colin Cowherd, and he was getting into like how it is not a really good thing to date a Kardashian. And he was going person by person, player by player. And if you look at their history, people that they've dated or married, it is not cool. I mean, the men wind up really way worse off than they started off. Nobody got better under the rapt attention and claws of the Kardashian clan. Not a single one. The worst was probably Lamar Odom, who had a reality show with Khloe. Lamar was a pretty good basketball player, and he hangs out with Khloe. They have a baby of a reality show, and the next thing you know, he's hanging out with Dennis Hoff and the Bunny Ranch and doing enough drugs to send him into a coma. I mean, Lamar Odom was, for all intents and purposes, dead. I don't even know where he is now. He's still alive. They pulled him out of the coma. But that's the most extreme example of this Kardashian influence. But look at these pictures, and with almost every shot, the guy and fill in the blank Kardashian / Jenner girl the guys looked miserable. Then the energy was terrible. I mean, it was awful. It's like these people were living in a nightmare, and it was like it was not. It is not encouraging. Let's put it that way. To me, I mean, that's like the definition. That's like the visual depiction of the death cult, and that you walk around in a state of dreary kind of disconnection. And there's a lot more to live for. There's a lot more to live for. So you look around, find out where the inspiring stories are in your life as well. Those are really important, really, really important. Take up a new hobby, take up a new craft, learn something. The whole idea here is to not succumb to the robotic zombification of being a human, and to connect with your divinity in a way that it has an active role in your day-to-day life. We're human, we misstep, we fall, that's okay, right? It happens. But the front lines of all this is to retain your humanity, your dignity, your character, not to succumb to the spell of the death cult. All right, let's see, where are we in terms of chat? Check in with you guys. We are at remoralization. I love that. Judy says remoralization. Yes, the Kardashian curse. BB says, I feel so much cleaner, lighter, happier. Since there's nothing on TV, really. Really not much at all. What else we got going on here? I have Sling, and I watch TV because I like to filter things. And I have a new show. It's called, what is it? Homestead Rescue. I love this show. I love Homestead Rescue. It's about these people who are going off the grid. By the way, in the last 10 years, 2 million people in this country have gone off the grid. Think about that. 2 million people off the grid. Yes. That's an interesting statistic. If you want to watch some uplifting TV, find Homestead Rescue. Marty Rainey. Marty Rainey's my new dude, man. That guy's he's funny. All right, where are we? We're about how long are we in this thing? Give me a second here. We're 27 minutes in. Okay. So listen, I'm going to get out of here. This is a brief one today because I've got to get on my new platform and anchor this thing down so I can get it on my website and start to stream from the websites. It's a new development here with 15 Minutes of Flame, and so I had a really interesting and good suggestion from a listener. Her name is Paulette. You'll probably see her in the chat room. She suggested that I give away some reports for people that want to donate to the GoFundMe project. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. So I'm going to work that out, and it'll be something. You'll get something in return for donating, so I can basically take care of the bandwidth for the coming year and continue to do this in a different kind of way. And there'll be more that'll come down the pipeline. So stay tuned, and I should have the GoFundMe details and the details worked out for the perks. You'll get a perk, nice little perk if you want to donate to this. And that'll be a cool thing too, right? You give, I give, part of the new economy. Okay. Let me just check back in with you guys in the chat room, see how everything's going. How you're doing in there. Good luck. There's 2 million, maybe the ones who survived this civilization. My email is, I got a couple of them. My email is, use this one, radiofarcast@gmail.com. I'll put it in there for you. radiofarcast@gmail.com. There we go. If you want to get a hold of me, pretty simple. Okay. All right. You know the drill. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to set what's possible. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow and maybe even tonight if I can get this new platform together. And if not tonight, it'll be tomorrow. There's going to be a transition phase. So you're going to have to start to come over to my website at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm gonna hit the button at 9. Okay, so you guys don't have to wait around. Do my best. Okay, all right. Have a great day. Stay up. Okay, stay up. And as Judy says, participate in the remoralization process. I'm Robert Phoenix. This has been 15 Minutes of Flame. Have a great day.